Welcome to Throw Off the Lines, the podcast where we navigate life's changes, explore new horizons, and embrace the journey. I'm your host, Stephanie York, an executive coach with a passion for charting new courses on the water and in life. Ready for some total change? Let's dive in. Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Total Throw Off the Lines. I'm Stephanie York, and really excited to talk about today's topic because it's very near and dear to my heart. I don't know if you can tell, but I really love people. I love all kinds of people. When I see people, I just think that they're beautiful and wonderful, and I probably give them way too many beneficial attributes without knowing them. They haven't earned them, but I don't care. I still love people. So today I want to talk about how to make friends, because I do talk to people all the time that say, I can't really find friends. I'm not making friends. I know that in the big old world, there's a lot of people trying to use dating websites, and finding dates and stuff it's a whole nother can of worms that I'm not going to cover on this podcast. But I do know that when we are starting our lives over and trying to date, we are often trying to fill some loneliness or emptiness or, time in our schedule. And a lot of that, I think, we just need to have also more connection, less isolation. And it's not necessarily finding somebody to love, because yeah, sure, we all want to find somebody to love, but we have to love ourselves. And in loving ourselves, we are then present in the world and we are engaged in our life. And it isn't just about being with one other person who loves us and it's our end all be all. It's about our connectedness to the world. And we've been going through a lot of really turbulent times, which this podcast is not about that right now. There's plenty of podcasts out there covering what's going on in the world. I want to talk about how connection and moving away from isolation and really stretching ourselves and really handling the anxiety of meeting new people. I have an episode on stress and anxiety. It's a bit cumbersome, the whole podcast, but I'm going to be also meeting with Lisa Smith and talking about stress and anxiety. If you are feeling anxious about meeting new people, processing that is a part of life. And if you are feeling anxious because you don't have friends, then let's do something about that. It's a huge struggle for everybody, especially when you get out of high school and college and you get into work. A lot of times we have our work friends, and our work life used to be decades ago that we were in a job for a long time. And I'm finding that more and more jobs become transient, and we are, more working a job for a year or a year and a half, and we might make a friend at that job, or we might have a lot of friends at that job, but then that changes. And so I want to address that it's not just happening to people my age or older. I meet people in their 70s that don't have friends and are trying to make friends. It's never too late or too early in your life to try to make friends. And you never know who your next friend is going to be. And we outgrow friends and we change and we shift, and that's okay too. So this episode isn't necessarily about getting rid of old friends, but it is about making new ones. I'm not saying you got to have 50 friends, and I don't think that you have to have a busy social calendar, although if that's your thing, do it. Absolutely. I myself find that I used to be very, very social, and over time I've become more thoughtful, and I'm really happy having the really good friends that I have now. And I want new friends, but if I don't have them, I'm pretty fulfilled, because I've been trying to keep my friendships going. I have friends from my past that I want to have better relationships with, but maybe that's on me. I'm gonna use my own advice and try to connect with old friends more, because that's important to me. So even just one person to go somewhere with, one person to share your life with, one person to do, to connect with, that can be enough. So what I'm saying is you need to put some effort into it to make any relationship work, both personally and professionally. And friendships take effort, and really good ones are worth it. They're really worth it. Even some of the superficial ones I have that I just put some effort into, but we just go have fun. And I love my relationships I have. So, having friends helps in so many ways. And I think that there's a lot of articles out there right now that, obviously it reduces loneliness, but it has huge impacts on our health, both mental and physical. If you have friends, you have a lot less stress, and you have somebody to share stress with, and you can then listen to somebody else's. We all need to be needed. And I might do a podcast on being needed and needing others. That emotional support that we get from a friendship or a friendship group is incredibly important to us as human animals and to our psyches. To be heard is really important, but also giving to somebody else by listening to them and engaging with them is really important to our emotional health and well-being as well. So keep that in mind. It's also a sense of belonging. And since we are social creatures, it's really important for us to be a part of a group. It was important for our survival to be a part of a group. And when you're isolated and you don't belong to a group and you're not connected to people, it can take a toll on you. And again, it's not everybody. Some people are really good with one person in their life. And I'm good with that for you as well. So keep that in mind. It can improve longevity and brain health. This is really important. My father had dementia and Alzheimer's. His mother did. His grandmother did. I'm looking for the other shoe to drop on me. So my whole life I've been working on what can I do to offset mental decline. And I think there's probably people say I already have it, but that's okay. You know what? I laugh and roll with it. But brain cognition and brain health are part of being engaged in life. And whenever we are exercising, we're helping our brain health. Whenever we're doing new tasks, we're engaging our brain in new ways, new neurotransmitters, new connections. And whenever we are connecting with others and interacting with them, it helps with our brain health because we're firing in those social activities in our brain. We're using logical thinking. We're problem solving together. And all of that is going to help with longevity. And whenever you read those studies about people who live the longest in those communities and the blue zones or whatever, a lot of them have social connectedness. I watched a movie or a documentary about all these people who were aging. I think it was a Japanese community where all the older people all went to these community centers and were doing, Tai Chi together and eating together and cooking for each other, and that they felt so connected and they supported each other. And if somebody didn't show up, they went and checked on that person, and they were all living longer, healthier lives. So that also takes me to, everybody's aging longer, but what's the quality of their life once they're aging past a certain point? And a lot of what I talk about on my podcasts is about leading healthier, more fulfilling lives. That's what Total is about. Throw off the lines that are holding you back from living your best life. And having friends and having a healthier brain leads to a better quality of life if you are going to live a long time. So it's important. And I'm a big fan of intergenerational friendships, because I don't think if you're in your 70s, you should only have 70-year-old friends. I think you should strive to have friendships in all age groups. We all benefit from each other. So do reach out to people beyond just your own age, because there's a ton of wisdom and a ton of information and a ton of shareability, where somebody in their 20s is going to know a lot more about what's going on with AI right now. And somebody in their 70s is going to know a lot more about resilience and adaptability and share the techniques that they've used in their life to overcome challenges. So reach out to more people. It improves your resilience having more friends, because resilience, and there's a whole podcast about that, resilience is about recovering from challenging times. And part of that recovery is having a plan and support to help you. So your resilience, say you get sick and you're not out and about, but your friends check in on you, that helps you with recovery. Say you go through a loss and you're really sad and you've got people to reach out to you. They check on you. They bring you food. They're there for you. They're offering support. Having those friends is really, really important. Also, when you make friends, you can make additional friends from their circles. And it's just a lot of fun meeting new people. So what I want to talk about is, where can we meet new friends? And this is a really big deal because that's the number one question I get from people when we talk about, you need some friends. My clients, I always try to get work-life balance. Sure, we ramp up their business and they start making more money and working more effectively and hiring more staff. But when we talk about balance, they also find that they're working less hours and doing more with those hours. So then all of a sudden they have free time on the weekends. They have free time in their evenings. And then we talk about, what are you doing with your free time? What are you doing to live a purposeful life? What do you care about? What fires you up? What burns in your soul? What is your ignition key, you know? So some of the ways that you can meet people is volunteer. This is a huge thing. I volunteered for a no-kill shelter in Ventura, California with my daughter because I think it's really important that we get kids involved in charitable actions in their lives and that they can have empathy for people and really get engaged and involved in their community. It's incredibly important to be, I think, involved in what's going on around you. And so you can volunteer. I had a friend who wanted a dog desperately, but her husband was super allergic and she couldn't have a dog. And so she needed dogs in her life. And she went down to the local shelter and they had a class teaching all the volunteers how to interact with animals. And she goes down now every Saturday and goes and walks the dogs, plays with the dogs, helps socialize them. All of this helps them become more adoptable. And I have another friend who loves cats, and she's got 2 cats, and she still wants more cats, but she doesn't want to have more cats. She volunteers at the cat shelter, which is a part of our local rescue league organization. And they have a little cat house and all the cats are housed in there. And cats need socialization too. They need somebody to play with them. And when the staff at these organizations is so overwhelmed, you can often be their eyes on these animals to say, hey, this little kitty over here is not doing well. They've got a limp or they're acting lethargic. And I mean, your volunteering can be so incredibly important. Volunteering with the PTA, you can meet other moms that have kids your age. Go down and get involved. There's tons and tons of volunteering. Here in LA, we've got Tree People. And I used to belong to that organization over 30 years ago. And this is an organization that wants to work on planting more trees and tree health. And if you have a passion for the environment, there's tons of organizations. There are senior centers where people are needing more people to come in and visit with those seniors. And there's a lot of seniors who are kind of just abandoned and don't have family. There's so many volunteer organizations. Maybe there's a political campaign you want to go get involved in. Go down to the headquarters, meet more people who are involved in politics. There's tons of meetup groups. Now, some of the smaller cities don't have the meetup groups that maybe the big cities do. There's tons of hiking. Start your own meetup group. I haven't done it personally because I've been moving around a lot and traveling to other countries. But if I was in a local area and I wanted to get some friends, maybe I'd have a board game night. And you don't have to have it at your house. You could have it at a local venue. You could have it at a restaurant. You could have it at a bar. Maybe you meet at 6:00 on Wednesday nights and it's a board game night over at the local Outback Steakhouse. And you organize with Outback and say, we're going to have a board game night here. And maybe you guarantee that you're going to order this much. Everybody is going to get a drink. And it can be a Coca-Cola. It could be, iced tea. It doesn't have to be an alcoholic drink. And that you'll order 2 appetizers and that maybe people will order more food. Or you could do it at a local pub. I don't drink. I get a non-alcoholic beer or I'll get a Coca-Cola. And I've been meeting people for board game nights and we were playing Uno and it was so much fun. I miss playing games with my families and And so get a meetup group started or go join a meetup group. You can also take a class, shared interests. If you go and do a pottery class or go and do a yoga class, it doesn't have to take a lot of money for you to meet up with people who have shared interests. On Craigslist, there's a volunteer group. There's an interest group. There's people with pets. There's a dog park. Go meet people at a dog park. A little later on in this podcast, I'm going to talk about ways to strike up conversations and start to reach out and make friends, because people are just afraid of what to do. And I don't want you to be afraid of what to do. I want you to have steps and tips and ideas for how to reach out and make friends. But right now we're talking about ways that you can find common interests. Social media meetups and other organizations like that are great. And follow a team or a sport. This is a really, really fun thing. I was huge in the NFL. Now I'm starting to follow the Dodgers. My daughter really loves them. I have a friend who's really into the Dodgers. So I went to a sports club, at like a bar, and we were all watching it together. And if you have a team you really like, go to a local area, a local restaurant or bar where everybody's meeting. It doesn't mean you got to drink, but sit there and cheer on your team. And if you go more than 2 times, people are going to notice who you are. And I've always gone and met people. And then I have a group of people who like the same thing I like. And, or I really love the rugby team up in Ventura, California. They, were called now I'm not going to remember the name. The men's and women's group. And I used to go to their matches. They were at local high school teams, and I would go and watch them. I didn't know anybody else, but I would see some other people whose, husband or boyfriend were on the team, and they would like cheer them on, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're here cheering on the team." And the rugby was so much fun to watch. And so if you are wanting to go and follow a certain sport or be involved in something that you want to, enjoy and meet more people that they enjoy, just go to these places where you can find the gatherings. Different sports bars have different teams featured on it, and just have some fun. So the Outlaws is the name of the rugby band group up in Ventura. Just so much fun watching the team just get out there, and rugby is such a cool sport. So also you could pick a club or an organization you're passionate about. I just went to a big dance party, a live band playing tribute music to George Michael and Prince. And I was invited by a friend I've made recently. And lo and behold, there were 50 diehard Prince fans there, and they all knew each other. And a couple of them had flown over from Hawaii to come to Los Angeles for this, because live music is so amazing. And I gotta say, whatever you're into, there's groups out there that follow it, and those are your people and those are your friends. It could be Dungeons and Dragons, and there's groups of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. There's meetup groups, and you can find them on Facebook. Sometimes on Nextdoor, you can say, "Hey, is anybody else into blah, blah, blah?" And maybe it's a garden club. You could play on a local team. A lot of communities have this every, I think, spring, and then in the fall, they put out a booklet that says, "Here's the classes we're offering." You could take a yoga class. You could join a local softball team. You could go down to the community center and see what they're offering. And it doesn't have to be that expensive to join. But, whatever you're into, there's somebody else that's into it, and you can go and meet with those people. I had a client years ago who loved knitting, but she was doing mortgages, and I was helping her with her sales and getting her database together, etc. But she loved knitting so much that we went and I was like searching on the internet, and I found 3 groups, and she found one and she joined it. And then that was her knitting circle. And then she joined a club that was at a local quilting store. And next thing you know, she ended up buying this amazing knitting machine or quilting machine that cost, I think, $10,000, opened up her own store, and then was giving quilting classes and quit working in sales altogether. And she was in heaven. She was traveling around to these different quilting conferences, and she turned it into a career, a passion, and she was so, so happy. But I mean, you don't have to go join a quilting group, but coin collecting, whatever it is that you're into, there's somebody into it and they can be your friend. So, what we do once we go and we meet these people seems to be a big stopping point for some of my clients and for some of my friends. And they always say, well, I have a friend, but I just don't know what to do when I get together. If, say, I'm going to go down and join a yoga class, what do I do? What do I say to somebody? And so we start to set up scenarios. You can start a conversation. Think before you go to an event about what are 3 things about yourself you want to share with somebody else. And if that's something you want to share with them, what are 3 things you could ask somebody about themselves that isn't intrusive, isn't awkward, isn't weird, but we can think about it ahead of time. You could ask them, where are you from? Or if you're going down, let's use quilting as an example. You go to a quilting club. You could ask them, how long have you been into quilting? How long have you been following this NFL team? How long have you been doing pottery? How long have you been doing yoga? Those are questions that is an obvious thing because you're there with a shared interest. But just encourage yourself to ask an open-ended question. Go into these events with, it doesn't even have to be 3 questions. It could be 1. What is a question you could ask this person? So maybe you met up at a dinner. Maybe you're a part of a group where you've been invited and you don't know anybody, but they all know each other. What is an open-ended question that if it was turned back on you, you could answer? You could say, if it's in Los Angeles, which is where I'm at right now, hey, were you born in Los Angeles? Which naturally leads to them being able to talk about where they were born, how long they've been in LA, and then they're probably going to ask the same question back. So if you're comfortable answering that question, you should be comfortable asking it. You don't have to have 10 questions. You don't have to have a huge backstory. Consider, if you're a very private person, what are 3 things you're willing to share about yourself? It could be that you really love to wear Halloween costumes and you've got a collection of 10 of them. It could be that you love to eat brunch and why don't you guys get together for brunch sometime? Be open to sharing small personal things about yourself to give that other person permission to open up about you. Do you love comedy clubs? Comedy clubs are a great place to go. Do you have a passion for movies? Think about 3 topics that you're comfortable opening up about, and what are those facts in those topics so that you go in with a preset conversation. Now, if they ask something out of the blue, like, I love dogs. Do you have any pets? You could answer, oh, I don't now. I had some when I was a kid. And that's going to just shut off the conversation. But that leaves them open to talking about the pets. You just turn the question back around. I don't, but do you? And then ask if they have any pictures. Ask their pets' names. Take the question that they give you if you have kind of an ending response and turn it back to them. But be a good listener. When somebody is talking to you, this is critical in your friendships, past friendships, current friendships, and future friendships. Listen to them. Look them in the eyes. Smile, engage, remember what they're talking about. If you struggle with retention, which I do, I frequently struggle with retention. I remember crazy facts, but if I'm talking to somebody and there's a group of people and I'm anxious, at the end of the evening, I'm going to struggle remembering everything I talked about. This might sound silly, but it's very important when people share with you that you remember some key things. Remember their name. Do a memory aid if you have to. I have a friend named Lisa, Lisa Pizza. So maybe I think pizza. That kind of helps. I've gotten a lot better at names because I don't allow myself to be bad at remembering names anymore. And I've been working on it for years. We'll have a podcast on how to improve your memory because I've been working on it a lot. But after an event, sometimes if I've just met 5 new people, I will exchange contact information with them because I'm very social. And then I will put in their contact information, how I met them, and facts about them that I want to remember. Do they have a dog? Did they tell me their dog's name? Because there's a description section in contact information. I also have notes on my phone, and I'll go sit in my car and I'll write down notes because I know as an adult, I remember through rote and by repeating things to myself. And so I'll say, okay, this person, Alice, was a professor and she is now here in LA and she is a docent and she works over at LACMA and she's got a son and he lives here in LA and she's from New York. And so boom, after dinner, I've got that in. And once I've typed it into a note, it's now much firmer embedded in my memory bank. And there's nothing wrong with having to do this. So be a good listener, be open to sharing small personal things, because then again, it opens everybody else up to feeling safer with you. And then, do a small act of kindness for a friend. This isn't something you're going to do. I'm very guilty of being over demonstrative towards people, which puts them off. They think I may be being fake because I love to do things for people. But, later on, as you are making this friend, maybe you remember such and such a person loves the Dodgers and you heard about this event where they're doing a pop-up and they're going to sell Dodger shirts. Well, it doesn't mean you got to go down and buy a shirt for your friend, but maybe send them the link to the article or send them the link to the pop-up location and say, hey, here, they have a Dodgers thing. They're going to sell shirts at this pop-up over here. And that's a small kindness. Or if you know that your friend is struggling with something, maybe send a text saying, hey, thinking of you today, because you truly are thinking of them in that moment. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. If it's genuine, then do it. And so many people are afraid of putting themselves out there that they do think about somebody. They do think of a kindness. Hey, my friend is sick. I'm going to make them some soup because I love my chicken noodle soup. It might be bland to some people, but I think it's medicine. And I'm going to go take you a tub of my chicken noodle soup. You could throw it away. Don't tell me. I don't care. But that person's sick. They need a kindness. Or somebody might just be having a rough week. Invite them out for a cup of coffee Saturday morning and a breakfast or something and get together and just chat and hang out. Maybe go for a walk on the beach or in the woods or, share with them and stay in touch. Exchange numbers if you like someone. So here's the big hurdle. At these dinners where I met 5 strangers, I initiated, hey, I'd really like to get your contact information. Is it okay if I contact you with maybe more fun things to do if I think about it? They always say yes. And then they're happy to have my contact information. So, exchange information and talk about what you might like to get together down the road. Hey, you know what? I might put a game night together at such and such a local pub. Would you like to come and play Uno, say on a Thursday night around 6:30? They've got hamburgers there or they've got salads there, whatever it is. But exchanging that contact information sets you up to be able to develop that relationship. Now, I'll tell you, if you did this with 3 people, only one of them may reciprocate the contact, and that's okay. The odds of you trying to reach out to 5 new people and then making 1, even 2 good friends is a lot better than reaching out and making contact with only 1. Because that person, life gets lifey. And when it gets lifey and we're playing whack-a-mole and stuff's happening in our lives, it's hard for us to reach back out. Their intention might be to be a friend to you. And you might have every intention of reaching out to them. Something might happen in your life. I noticed that when I made contact with the 5 friends, one of them had to go out of town for work, and then she had to go out of town to meet her mom, and then she had to go out of town, then she had people in town. And if I had not already made contact and I didn't take anything personally, I would have said, oh, she doesn't want to hang out with me. She's too busy. But the fact of the matter is, she did want to hang out. She was too busy. And instead, I stayed in touch. We communicated. And then last night, she went to this big live band thing where they did George Michael and Prince cover tribute band. And it was just so much fun. And I really like her. And she's so, so funny. And I wouldn't know that if I'd thought, oh, she's too busy for me. Instead, I persevered. And perseverance in friendships is very important. If you're feeling pullback from somebody, don't keep communicating with them. Move on to the next one. But I guarantee this is, well, it's October right now, but this probably isn't going to be a podcast until in November. If you try next year to make 5 friends and you use some of these techniques, I guarantee you'll at least end up with 2 new friends, good friends. But you've got to be a good friend back. That means open conversations, share stuff about yourself, make future plans, share your contact information. Don't take it personally if somebody gets busy. Pursue hobbies and interests that you feel fulfilled by, and those people will come into your life. People are attracted to happy people, and if you're doing things you like, maybe you're making clay pottery, or maybe you're loving on animals, or you're out planting trees, it doesn't matter. If you're living a purposefully fulfilling life, you're going to be attractive to other people. They're going to want to be your friend too. So make sure it's about you as well. Now, accept invitations. When people invite you to do stuff, you might have social anxiety. You might worry about what's going to go on. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Accept an invitation. Go. Do that thing. You can always leave after 10 minutes if you're uncomfortable. I've seen people do it. I've invited them to things and they've come and then they said, you know what? I've got to go. And I'll say, that's fine. I'll see you next time. And I see them next time. We don't judge people. And you'd be surprised how self-involved people are in their own lives. And they will see you came. And then if you have to leave early, they'll just be like, oh, I'm sorry you have to go, but I'll see you next time. That's what friends do. We give room to each other to do whatever it is that we need to do. And then one of the things that I always tell people is if you're going to go into new situations and meet new people, always build your confidence the best that you can. Put your best foot forward. Wear something that you feel comfortable in. Wear something, I'm getting together with a group of people. We're going to go to the West Hollywood Halloween party, and it's a giant carnival. And I just sent out a message to my friend group in this area. And some of them are saying, well, I don't have a costume. I don't think I can go. And I might wear a costume. I might wear a funny wig. You don't have to wear a costume. Wear something you're comfortable in. We're going to be walking a lot. Just come and keep your eyes open and have fun and enjoy yourself. And if you're going somewhere where you are constantly feeling uncomfortable, like you're not engaged or people are judging how you're looking, first of all, you've got to work on your own personal self-love, self-worth, and confidence. And that's going to be in these podcasts as well. But if you go someplace, I once belonged to a book club and it was very cliquish and I was trying to make friends. And it seemed like every week I wanted to talk about the book and they just wanted to talk about their relationship with their husbands or who they were dating. And it was very cliquey. And I never knew the right drink to bring because they all talk to each other, and I had beer because last week they had beer and this week they had champagne, and then it got to the point where I never felt like I was dressed nice enough, or I felt kind of cut off. Well, after 4 weeks, I left and I didn't go back, and I don't think they missed me. They weren't mean to me, and I did involve myself in the conversations, but I wasn't comfortable, and those weren't my friends. They weren't my people. I did remain friends with one of the women from the group for a while, but outside of the group. So make sure that you feel comfortable in your own skin. Wear what you want to wear, put on the makeup you want to put on, or don't. Dress comfortably. Don't wear high heels, wear high heels. Just be the best version of yourself that you're happy with, and go out there and do more things and engage yourself in friend circles and be open to it. And, having friends is what life is about. And it not just helps our brain health and our longevity, but for me, it's fulfilling to have people to have a laugh with and people I can call on. And, we've been so disconnected for so long, and isolation is such a big part of people's struggles, mental health struggles. And a lot of us use the terms anxiety and stress. And I have social anxiety as something I hear a lot. And I've got to say, we're all anxious in new situations. We're all anxious about things in our lives. And you can't use that term all the time to hold you back from doing things. When we do things when they're scary is what makes us brave. And when you're brave and you grow those social muscles and you get out and you try new things, you find out that you are a lot more resilient and a lot more adaptable than you ever dreamed. And then all of a sudden, your life is more fulfilling and you're happier and you threw off those lines that were holding you back. You're no longer isolated and lonely and scared and worried and anxious. You're starting to grow those muscles that teach you how to be just a really happy person. I hope this has helped. And if you have questions, go on, throwoffthelines.com, shoot me a message, and I'd be happy to respond. And I just look forward to talking to you in the future. Have a total day. Thank you for joining me on Throw Off the Lines. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe for future episodes and extras, and leave a review, share it with someone who needs a total inspiration. You can also find us on Facebook or Instagram and our Throw Off the Lines website. If you want to be a guest or have questions for the host, sign up on the website and we'll get back to you. Until next time, throw off those lines and live your best life.